Welcome back to K24. This is, of course, our social hour, and we are talking about giving back today and really trying to inspire not just, you at home, but everybody that you will be, around today, tomorrow, this entire week, to actually think about your neighbor and those who are closest to you. Would you be willing to actually do something for them today, and even our communities in general? And when we talk about giving back, we do know that the times we are in are pretty tough. We're in the middle of a pandemic, but how do we go about bringing out the givers in us? We have a question of the day to you, and it's already up on your screen, and we ask, would you be willing to volunteer for charity work during this pandemic? Would you actually be willing to go out there, put yourself at risk, because it is risky work, especially at this time? Would you be willing to go, donate your time, or at least free up your time to be at a children's home, to feed the hungry? At K24 TV is our social media platforms, and of course, through our WhatsApp number is how we are receiving bulk of our feedback on the show. Speaking of which, let's take a look at a text message that has come in and says, hello, volunteering to give back to the community is one of the deeds that most people consider as being unworthy. Just like most of the people feel like they must give back, so as the public would consider them majorly, it's based on politics. Very good point. We're even going to talk about that in just a second. But in studio with me is Eric Kimani. He is a philanthropist. We also do have Wawira Njiru joining us via Skype. She is the founder from Food for Education, talking to us a little bit about what she does on the ground with school-going children. And for example, in India, free midday meals has been regarded as one of the most successful educational interventions in the country's history because of its impact on attendance and performance. Getting back to your work, Wawira, when you look at what free midday meals has done in India, what would you actually say has been the impact of your, the school lunch that you are providing to children in various regions of the country?
So first of all, in terms of India, the India School Midday Meals Program, I've been to India to visit and see one of the largest organizations that provides meals there. And it's truly, for me, a beautiful sight in terms of 120 million children getting lunch every single day in India. And one of the things that, as you said, it's been the most impactful intervention in their education, especially their primary and early childhood education, because that's, food is really critical for growth, especially at that time. I should have mentioned that I'm also a nutritionist, so that's my passion about food that also comes in. And, in terms of looking at the impact that Food for Education has had, is consistent with what is being found in India and different parts around the world. Even the US, they have free lunch programs for kids who don't have access to meals, which is a lot of them. So in Africa, we find that we have, the youngest population in the world. We have around 500 million children in school under 15 years old, and many of them don't have access to meals. And yet we don't have large-scale, school distribution programs like we do, for example, in India or in the US for school meals. Yet these are very proven interventions. So for us, we've been able to see impact in education. So school performance has gone up. School attendance has gone up. And in fact, some of our students, part of their problems becomes once they start eating with us, they start performing better, they get good grades, and they have to look for Mr. Kimani and his team to give them scholarships because they're doing really well, which they weren't doing before. And, we need more interventions, especially in the primary and early childhood level, to make sure that kids have the right foundation so that when they're taking up for scholarships, they're getting the right marks, they're not getting low marks, or they're able to attend school every day. They're able to develop their full potential. So that's some of the impact that we've seen. that is consistent with school feeding programs around the world, and which is why we should have large-scale school feeding programs in Kenya and in Africa, because we have the most children in the world, essentially.
Right. Okay. Mr. Kimani, I like the point that was even raised by one of our viewers, and it was something that I really did want to engage you on. Yes, I know you said probably there's no such thing as positive giving or negative giving, but today we are seeing politics and philanthropy gelling more than ever. So there is the giving, but then there's the giving with the intention of, I hope I get your vote. I hope come next general election that you're going to be, you know, putting me in. What's your take on everything that you see around us? Because the sanitizers are coming at a cost. It's not just because I want to make sure you're safe.
Well, that's an interesting question, and one that is a bit, you know, no right answers. But if I was a politician, which I'm not, and I came with sanitizers with my name on it only once, and I've never given again, and I've never...
It's a one-time
thing.
It's a one-time show.
I would question your motive, but on the other hand, I would still not write it off, because that sanitizer maybe has helped somebody not catch COVID. But yes, we've seen that, the congruence of politics and giving, and that's why almost every politician has a foundation that is geared to endear them to. But people are not fools, and the public is not foolish. They will take the help, and they will not necessarily do the politics. And those who do, you can't do anything about. If I was asked, I would avoid it, because it just spoils your name, and people can see you are only doing it for political mileage. And I try to steer myself away from it. You can't avoid politics in life, but you can choose not to be part of the politics. So yeah, that would be my question, my answer.
Should I decide to get into charity works? Perhaps maybe I'm watching at home and I'm thinking, okay, fine, this idea has been, you know, with me for quite a while, and I just need to execute it. Because you've been there, you talked about is it 17-year-old journey with, you know, with your foundation. What are some of the pitfalls that you can warn us about as someone starting to get into charity work or as a giver that you may not see, because you may go into it with such an amazing heart, with good intentions, but there are sharks out there.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think one needs to first of all know that you can't be in a foundation and working with other people's money. If your own money you cannot look after, or you can't be a giver yourself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On a personal level,
yes,
I don't think I spend a lot of money, a lot of time. I spend about over 50% of my time is on philanthropy every working day.
Wow.
I'm not paid for it. It doesn't earn me anything, but I do that whether in personal, in the foundation, or in Rotary, all the things I do in that. But to come back to what you are, the question you are putting to me, which is
to how to avoid pitfalls.
How to avoid the pitfalls. One, you must be accountable. If you're dealing with money that is not yours, make sure you account for it. One of the endearing things about our foundation, we are public. If you go to our website right now, you'll see how much money we raised from who. And that's why NCBA will give us money, Stanbic will give us money, INM will give us money, Isuzu will give us money, because they can see our accountability and stewardship. The word is stewardship. If you want to work with other people's money, you must demonstrate the highest level of stewardship and accountability. And obviously, you must show the results. You must have a plan that shows what results you are producing. Our results are out there in the public. One can see what our students have done, what they're doing both here and internationally. So the results speak for themselves. Otherwise, if you keep asking and you're not showing the results, then
Yes, by the way, your reputation does go down.
Yes.
Wawira, interesting question that we have received also from those who are hoping to get into the kind of space that you and Mr. Kimani are in, and hoping to set up whatever it is that they, they have in mind, whether it's for the environment or to just help humanity. The challenge that a lot of NGOs or foundations find themselves in is getting that backup that they need. They need that muscle to be able to scale up their concepts. How do I go about attracting the corporate, the corporate plugins that I require to scale up my idea? Because you do see people taking proposal after proposal, and nobody is really bothered to support, the kind of cause that they have. How did you do it?
So I think that I would continue with what Mr. Kimani was speaking about in terms of transparency, in terms of track record. So as you know, he spoke about running his organization for 17 years. I've been running mine for 8 years. So what you see here is not something that happened overnight. It's not an overnight success. It's not an overnight funding opportunity. It's something that we built over many years. So the first thing I would say is we really have emphasized in terms of starting small. When we were starting Food for Education, someone gave me really good advice, and he said, the first people who are your first contributors are the people around you, your mother, your father, your friends. Those are the people who first sell into your mission because they're the ones who know you. So whether you can raise 100 shillings here, I spoke about starting with 125,000 from friends in Australia. So, and that was to build a kitchen, to employ a cook and to start cooking food for 25 children. Right. So, you may not start with 125,000 shillings. You may start with a small amount of money. But the more you can show trust and accountability for that, the more you'll be able to attract more money. And that's something that people, dismiss in terms of trust and accountability, because what we found even for us is that the people who funders have been recommended to us from someone who has funded us before, most times. Wow. Someone who says, I've had a really good experience working with these people, you should work with them as well. And that has been built over years. So there is no such thing as overnight success in any field, you know, and the reality is whatever you do, you have to build it over time and you have to start small. So if you're willing to take the time to start and to continue and to push and to persevere and overcome all the challenges we speak about, then you become, I heard maybe an athlete once say that, it's an overnight success that has taken around 20 years. So that's what exactly success is. It's something that takes a long time. To other people, it seems like it's an overnight thing, but you've worked at it for a very long time. So in terms of attracting funding, I think the best advice I would give is start and be persistent. Keep doing it, because people always will trust the person who's been at it for a long time. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Taking a look at WhatsApp very quickly, just to see what you have to say about the question we threw to you earlier on, and that is if you are willing to volunteer in the wake of a pandemic, whether it is your time or even financial support, do you believe that you would be in a position to actually go out there on the ground, putting yourself at risk? That's where the trick is. At K24 TV is how you can reach us on WhatsApp. Yet again, that number is right there on your screen. Okay, so speaking about feedback, let's see what we do have so far. We have one here that says, hello, it's Samuel from Namanga Show Ikopoa, Kajiado to Kondani. I'm giving back to the society, helping vulnerable Maasai girls get sanitary towels. I love this show. Thank you so much. And we do appreciate you, Samuel. Is there such a thing as giving too much to one particular cause? The way now people are talking about how, the boy child has been forgotten. And now we see a lot of focus and emphasis, especially look at that, sanitary towels. Well, not saying it's bad, but do you believe, Eric, that there could be overemphasis on one particular idea and we need to kind of spread out some of this funding that's coming?
I think, remember that all this is driven by individual aspirations, and I wouldn't say that there is too much of anything unless it's the government doing it and they should realize, but if it's individuals and foundations, it is good to have a consistent vision so that if people come to Palmhouse, they don't come asking for university education because they know Palmhouse funds only secondary education.
Right.
If they come to you, they know you only deal with girls and sanitary towels only. So for me, I think there should be no issue of one idea is too driven.
Right.
If it's too driven, then the need is there.
Right.
Human beings are people who are able to choose and see where the need is. So to me, I cannot say that, for example, the girl child was overemphasized.
Yeah.
It was a need whose time had come.
Okay.
Girls had been left out for so long. And a time will come when that will be dropped. Today it's COVID.
Yeah.
Anybody who has not given to COVID in this country should be embarrassed because this is the need of the day.
Right, it is the need of the day.
It's
Okay, hold that thought, Mr. Kimani. We've got a Charles from Mombasa on the line. Charles, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Okay, good morning to you. I'm seeing running a show here right now.
Yes.
About volunteering. That's why I want to ask if I can give my time. I have a free time sort of.
Oh, fantastic. But do you have a passion? What are you passionate about? Is it school-going children? Is it feeding people? What would you want to do?
Oh, if it's anything to do with education at a certain level, because I'm a technician but retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could be able to teach sometimes if it's quite technical or any other service which I can offer at my age also, 60 years, you know.
Wow, thank you so much.
There is a lot where whatever I can do because I have the education, knowledge I have, and I'm sure I'm also a Christian who is God-fearing. I have that experience, you know.
Well, bless you, Charles. What we'll do, we'll get your details and probably even put you in touch with Mr. Kimani because you are passionate about education and about teaching. We never know, something could actually emerge out of this, meet and greet with Mr. Kimani. I hope you'll be willing to speak to Charles. And maybe, he's in Mombasa. You could have something going on down there. All right, so Charles, thanks a lot for calling in. We'll take your details and we hope our team at the back will get both names as well so we can forward that to Mr. Kimani and we'll follow through with that. While we're getting back to what I was engaging Mr. Kimani about in terms of the overemphasis on some of the ideas that we have or programs that we have. We've seen a lot of emphasis on sanitary towels. What's your take on that? For someone who's at home wondering, where do I start? No, sanitary towels probably overdone. Who cares about the birds? You know, in Kenya, who's taking care about hyenas, for example? Who's taking care about our trees? You know, so your thoughts?
I think that, first of all, if you live in Kenya and you live, in the world, if you go at least a kilometer from your house, you're going to find someone who's in need. Absolutely. So you don't need really to find, it doesn't have to be, it can start off with something that's very small, like you find someone on the street who you can help, you go somewhere that because most of us, we know someone who, for example, needs help. So you can start by that. You don't have to go very far. You don't have to do so much to find someone who you can help. I think in terms of overemphasis to your question is that, as Mr. Kimani said, as long as the need is there is no such thing as overemphasis. If you feel like there's so many sanitary towels being distributed and who cares about the trees, then it's your responsibility to care about the trees and to tell us about the trees and to start doing something about the trees.
Okay.
Because you can't really, each person really just does what they feel that they're really passionate about.
Okay. I understand we've got a Rose Beth on the line. All right. Okay, it seems like we've lost Rose Beth calling us from Tarakanite, but please, Rose, if you can, please get back in touch with us. As we start to wind up, because we only do have a couple of minutes, let me just get back to you, Awera, on this one. There's, of course, the idea about teaching someone how to actually get or at least feed themselves, So they tell you, don't keep giving someone the fish, teach them how to fish, right? what is going to be your long-term solution towards, your feeding program, so that these families are able to more or less be able to provide for themselves? Any talks along those lines as far as food for education is concerned?
So for food for education, we're focusing specifically on children.
Right.
During the pandemic is when we've expanded our scope, but we focus primarily on kids getting the meals that they need.
Yeah.
So this is because, as we said, school feeding programs have proven impact, and children being in school is teaching them how to fish, is teaching them how to stand up for themselves. So by enabling them to stay in school and learn, we're enabling them to have, a better future, for them to be able to stand by themselves, provide for their families. Another thing we do is by partnering with parents, so the parents paying around 15 shillings, we're meeting them where they can, versus, giving them free, something free that we can't sustain. First of all, we can't provide 10,000 meals every day for free, and something that, they're not contributing in. So by creating that partnership, we're helping parents also, you can't sleep all day knowing your kids are going to eat for free. So they have to go and find 15 shillings for each child. If they have 2 children, 30 shillings. If they have 3, 45, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So partnering with them also is a way for us to make sure that, they also have some skin in the game, so that they're able to contribute.
Yeah.
But for children, we're really focused on them having the right nutrition,
Right.
because for them, it's a non-negotiable. If kids don't have the right nutrition, they don't grow or learn.
Absolutely.
So that's something that is so critical for them to have. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rosebeth is back. Good morning, Rosebeth. Thanks a lot for calling in. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. I really feel connected to the discussion that is going on.
Right.
I am from Tharaka-Nithi County, and my concern is about the girl child. Most of the girls may be going through, especially this time when they are at home.
Yeah.
We are aware that most of them are going through a lot of challenges, especially child abuse, defilement, and such. So my interest would be really to work with the community, whereby I can sensitize the girl. We have a number of cases of teenage pregnancies. And most likely, these kids may not go back to school in January next year.
Right.
So I would really want to work with the communities to see how we can settle down the children and also help them to go back to school.
Right.
So that would be my interest. I live in Nairobi, but I work with the communities at home.
Okay.
And that would be my interest, to help the kids to undergo counseling.
Yes.
To be able to support them when they get the babies, for those who get pregnant.
Right.
To help them go back to school.
Okay.
And also to find out a way of legal representation,
right,
whereby the defiler can be brought back to book.
All right. Thank you. Well said, Rosebeth. And you know what? We are going to get your details and put you in touch with the right people, because she's very passionate about the girl child. Talking about teen moms as well. That is a very, very forgotten group of individuals. Yeah.
I think the first thing she should do
is
look for people from Tharaka-Nithi who think like her.
Yes.
Get together the lawyers from Tharaka-Nithi.
Yes.
Set up a group and begin to help those girls now and in Tharaka-Nithi.
Yes.
Don't even wait for somebody else.
Yes.
Look for 3, 4, 5 people and set up maybe a mentoring session for that because this is a huge debate now in the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's not talk about it, let's do.
Let's do it. Like that. Taking a look at also feedback coming through our WhatsApp line. We've got one here that's in from Lemayan. Olele Tolu from Nakuru says there is strength in giving. Putting a smile on someone's face should be the key here. Doing whatever you can do is like planting a seed that in due season either you or your children will reap what you sow. Well said. Thank you so much for that. As we wind down, Mr. Kimani, same question to you in terms of schools being closed. What is your way forward? Because if you are catering to high school children, someone would ask, with all the funding that you have, is this a situation where, like the National Treasury, you're going to have to push forward the funding that you have to next year? Are you more or less closed shop for now?
Interesting question.
Yeah.
Remember, we had paid the school fees for first term, but we are talking to the sponsors, and maybe if this is what will happen, they will tell us, take the money forward or refund us the money, whichever they choose. We'll refund the money for the 2 terms, or we'll take it to the next partnership.
Yes.
But we are keeping up with our students, those who have mobile numbers, those who have mobile telephone.
Yeah.
We try to help those whom we can even now. We had, on Saturday, we had a Zoom alumni meeting with dozens of our alumni throughout the world, some in Djibouti, USA, Asia, and we all came together. So the mentoring continues at our new system of technology.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to live with the times. COVID will come and go. We will be able to get over this and sit around the table. Right now, the biggest problem is the COVID-19.
Yes.
Let's deal with it.
Let's deal with that. Yes. I want to get your final remarks in just a few after we take this text message that's come in from Walter, who is a teacher and says, despite lack of income, I opted to voluntarily provide teaching services to a children home whom live within the plot. The point is we have to take up responsibilities when a need arises. Well done. I like what Walter is doing, you know, still using his skills, still giving back through what he knows best. And it's not money. It's not money, what we're talking about.
That's exactly what I would have said to the teacher in Mombasa.
Right, right. Okay, so your final remarks, let me start off with you, Mr. Kimani.
I think my final remark is, I don't know whether you follow my philosophy of abundance versus scarcity.
Okay.
The problem is that people think I need to have money to give, I need to have this to give.
Right.
Like somebody said, you can give your talent, you can give your money, you can give your time.
Yeah.
And if you believe you are poor, you will remain poor. My grandma died at 101, never bought a car, never had more than a room to herself, but she was the greatest giver I've ever seen. You do not have to be rich or wealthy. And to the wealthy, it will be such a waste of life.
Yes.
To die with 100 million in your bank or a billion. What for?
Yeah.
I mean, it can do so much good in the world.
Absolutely.
I am a Rotarian, and I give a lot of my time to Rotary and a lot of money to Rotary and to causes.
Right.
And people think it's a religious cliche of saying what you give comes back to you many times over.
Right.
People think it's about money coming back to you many times over. But it is joy. It is a life that is longer than your physical years.
Yes.
If you want to live beyond your life, giving is the only gate.
Wow. Well, Vera, how much joy has your food for education given you, and what are your final thoughts?
I think, you know, Mr. Kimani summarized it well in terms of giving, that, you know, thinking about what COVID-19 especially has brought to us, to our forefront, is our mortality, that none of us are here forever and none of us are going to live forever. And one of the things, something like a pandemic can take us out, you know, and many other things. And I think that, you know, to add on what he said, is thinking about legacy. What is your legacy in this world? If, you know, as he spoke, having 100 million, a billion in the bank, that's just for you and your, you know, your immediate family. That's nice for yourself, but no one else will remember you, just the people around you. And so thinking about what can I do? How can I leave an impact that is bigger than myself? And how can I do that in a way that, you know, is true to my values and my motives and what I want to accomplish. And one of the things for me, Food for Education does bring me a lot of joy. I said I started when I was 21 years old. Right. And honestly, there's nothing else I would rather be doing with my life right now. Wow. It's something that brings me a lot of joy. It makes me know that even if today something happened to me, I would be happy because I've been able to do what I feel is the right thing. And I'm sure Mr. Kimani maybe feels the same way. And anyone who gives feels that I have lived my life to the full. So thinking about, especially COVID-19 bringing to our forefront that any of us at any time can, go. So thinking about what have you left in this earth, and the more you live for more people around you, in terms of the numbers that you impact and the people's lives that you impact, that's your true legacy.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much for that. I'm telling you, I need not add a single word to what my guests have said. I just want to hope that you have been inspired to do something for someone today and going forward. We hope that you did enjoy this conversation. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Eric Kimani, philanthropist, who is the recipient of the Volunteer of the Year Award in 2018. His foundation, the Palmhouse, is the winner of the Corporate Philanthropy Award 2018 as presented by the East Africa Philanthropy Awards. And to this beautiful woman, young and doing such amazing things, Wawiranjiro, thank you so much. She is the first ever Global Citizen Prize for Youth Leadership winner presented by Cisco, and the founder of the Food for Education. Should you want to be in touch with both our guests today, why don't you let us know? We'd be happy to do so. Have a great day up ahead. Paul Ngalambuvi is up next on The Daily Brief.